don't give in. Yeah. Miles and miles you will have been.
Well, hello everybody, it's Suffolk Andy here, in the middle of nowhere as usual, as you can see. Little old country road here in Suffolk. Near Bentley Church, by the way. I nearly started there, but I thought I'd give you a rest from churches. Yeah, today I'm going to do a little talk about how I feel. And I don't usually get political or anything like that, but what's happened in Britain over the last just over a week has turned everybody against each other and everything else and caused mayhem. Brexit. Britain deciding to leave the European Union. Now, this has caused a lot of ill will between people, and I'm going to put my penny's worth in as an oldie. Here we go. Let's get on with it. Well, where do we begin? Right from the beginning. In 1975, I was 18, and I was asked in a referendum to vote in or out of the European Trading Alliance, which was a good idea at the time because it meant everybody could trade with each other, no barriers, and things would be good. Countries would keep their sovereignty and their borders. Jobs are good, and of course I voted for it. It was lovely. But what they didn't tell me at the time, that there was an underlining agenda with this, and that underlining agenda was a federal Europe. If we'd have been told at the time it was a federal Europe, we would never have voted for it. So that was the start of it all. 40 odd years later, we've now voted to come out of it. Now, I've heard a lot of youngsters saying things like, I can't look at my parents, they voted to come out, I want to stay in, they've ruined my future, they've done this, they've done that, and whatever. Some people have even said old people shouldn't have been allowed to vote in the first place, which is, you know, democracy gone crazy. But all I can say to you youngsters, in the future you will, and trust me when I tell you this, after some pain, you will find your ever better future. Because people like myself, who have lived out of the EEC and in it, know the difference. How it's changed, how it's evolved, how more undemocratic it's got over the years, and how centralised and how much it's taking your future away. Now let me just explain one little thing what a lot of people don't actually understand. The EEC is actually governed by commissioners. These commissioners, I think there's about 32 or something, these commissioners are not elected by anybody. They're elected, or not elected, they are chosen by heads of government in other countries and put in their place to do their bidding. Now, they make the rules and they hand them down to the MEPs, which is your elected European Parliament. But the trouble is, that Parliament cannot make any rules. They're not allowed to. They have to just rubber stamp what comes down from the commissioners. Well, if this is democracy, there's something wrong here. You know what I mean? Something very, very wrong. And that's not the way that we should run our lives. If you look in back in history, and I've always said this, that all the answers are in history, all the mistakes are in history. And if you look back over the years, communism, fascism, all these sort of things never worked for anybody. In fact, they were horrendous. Democracy is probably the only thing that actually works. It's not perfect, it's not brilliant, but it's the only way people can rule themselves. Other things have been tried, they don't work. Fascism doesn't work. You don't want to have somebody telling you what to do all the time, and you've got no say in it, and if you don't like it, you can't get rid of them, and you find yourself arrested. Communism, that doesn't work. That's been tried in numerous countries, and over the years it doesn't work either. Most communist countries now fell apart. So we're back to the old democracy. Now, if you look at the EEC, it's not a democracy. These commissioners are passing laws, handing them down to the MEPs, they rubber stamp them, and jobs are good. Nothing you can do about it. And they come with rules. Now, some of them rules don't suit Britain, and I've heard people say, well, you can't cherry pick this, you can't cherry pick that. No, you make your own rules. Your own country makes its own rules and run its own borders. Let's go back to the people who lost this election, the Remainers. They've got to accept democracy. They might not like it. Both sides put threats up, both sides put nonsense up, and both sides are in the wrong loads of times. But when you've got a Prime Minister telling us that we could go to a third world war and the sky was going to fall in and aliens were going to turn up and the Pound was going to do this and that and whatever, we're all going to be poor, scratching our asses, it was ridiculous. But I'd like to say to those youngsters again, we haven't took your future away from you, we give you freedom. And that freedom is to believe in your own country, to believe in your own future, make your own future. Don't let it be dictated to you by unelected people at the head of a huge great organisation that wants to run your lives. You have control. And yes, there might be some pain, because they're going to punish us, and they're going to punish us bad. As much as they can heap upon the British people, they will, just to punish us, just to make us say, oh, we can't live with this, please take us back. Because remember, chaos is power, and if you have chaos, the people who are in chaos will scream for mercy and want to go back. So don't let that happen. Steadfast. We must all work together now and make sure we get the best deal we can. And remember as well, and a lot of people don't think of this, they sell more to us and we sell to them. So it's not in their advantage to lay off BMW workers and Audi workers on the car lines to cut their noses to spite their faces. It's not going to work that way. We have the upper hand, and we should use that upper hand. We really should. But what we need is fairness, not be bloody minded about it, but get a fair result for the British people, so we can go forward and build our own nation. Trade with the rest of the world and not just with Europe. Trade with the Commonwealth like we did before. And I know there's been countries now coming forward saying that they would like to start trade agreements with us already, Australia and whatever. And you've got to remember, the youngsters as well, England has started the ball rolling. We won't be the last. There's several countries in the EEC who are gagging to get out, or it's very, very close between ins and outs. And believe it, some of them are the countries you wouldn't believe. One of them's Holland. The other one is France, one of the main goals in the big players in Europe. You're seeing a rise of very hard-line politicians rising up within Europe because people are dissatisfied with it, and people like Le Pen, who, if she does win, and she's looking like she could pull one off, she has actually said she will take France or give France a referendum to get out of the EEC. Now that would be a shock, but I'll tell you what, it might happen. So you've got people like Holland, France, Spain, Italy, Portugal, all could leave in the next 5 years. You've got to keep that in mind. And that is why they're going to try and punish us, because they don't want other countries to leave, because they're so frightened that there will be a break-up. And trust me, in 5 to 10 years at the least, the EEC will be no more. We go back to trading with each other, having our own borders, making our own laws. Suicide dog. Suicide dog. Oh, nice little old thing. Yeah, so things will go back. It was an experiment that doesn't work. You can't control so many people from a centralised power and put your ideas and ideology onto these people and expect them to keep taking it. So I hope you understand all that. All I'm saying is to everybody who voted to stay, I hope you understand where I'm coming from. I understand your fears about leaving, and there was a lot of fears about leaving, but if we work together, the decision is done. You can't undo it. They keep trying to undo it now in Parliament and all over the place. The politicians in a disarray. They don't know what to do, what to say, who's leading. So we must all work together. And I think the people who said leave must understand the people who wanted to stay, and like I said, their fears, and address those fears, and hopefully we can all come back together and be Great Britain. If you don't live by democracy, you're tied by the sword. As easy as that, because you've seen that so many times in history, where democracy goes out the window and other systems take over, and they're not good. So I hope I got all the points in there to make some of you boys and girls understand where I'm coming from, and I'm trying to understand where the remainders are coming from as well, and the youngsters. And I'll tell you what, in years to come, I'll say it again, those youngsters, when they've got control over their own country, over their own laws, running their own shop, they'll understand where us oldies who lived in and out made that decision. And you will thank us. Trust me, you might not now, but you will in years to come. So there you go, that's enough from me. Political Suffolk Andy. I hope I got it over and got it all under, you know, covered as much as I can. I've only just done this off the top of my head, riding my bike. So I think that's enough from me. All ride safe. Love each other. Suffolk Andy.